Welcome back, everybody. It's time for another deep dive. And, we always love to get into some good pop culture.
Yeah.
And this week is no different. We're going to get into something that really got me going when I saw it, Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl.
Okay.
You sent over a couple articles about her, being booed by the Eagles fan,
Yeah.
which I thought was very interesting considering she was there last year
Right.
and everybody was cheering for her.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, You see on the surface a pop star going to a game with her, athlete boyfriend. But really, I think underneath that, there's something much deeper at play here.
I'm ready. What's going on?
When we talk about celebrity and politics and the nature of fandom, I think this is a really good microcosm to look at.
Okay.
So let's just start with the obvious. The booing. I think it's very easy to dismiss it as just rowdy Eagles fans, but I think it speaks to something a lot larger going on.
Go on. I'm listening.
Her political endorsements, particularly for Biden in 2020 and then Harris in 2024, I think, squarely put her in the political arena, whether she wanted to be there or not.
Right.
And that, in our, I think, very polarized climate, even something that feels apolitical like a Super Bowl can become a battleground for those divides.
Makes me wonder if it's even possible for celebrities to just be celebrities anymore.
Right.
Especially with social media and, they're expected to have an opinion about everything.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's an easy answer to that, but on the one hand, they do have a huge platform, and for them to talk about the things that are important to them can be very powerful. But on the other hand, they also risk, alienating fans who don't agree with them.
It's a tightrope to walk, that's for sure. And I think Swift's experience at the Super Bowl this year kind of exemplifies that.
Right.
Those lines get blurred sometimes.
For sure. And, I think it's also interesting to look at the contrast between the two Super Bowls. Last year, she was jet setting. I mean, she was literally in Tokyo, flies to Vegas,
Yep.
wins a beer chugging contest, partying with celebrities.
It seemed like she was everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere.
I won.
And then this year, very low key, having dinner with the Kelce family, the Mahomes, hanging out with the Haim sisters.
Do you think that was a choice? Kind of to stay out of that because of everything that was going on?
Mm-hmm.
The political stuff, and then, her relationship with Kelce and the media frenzy around that.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I think she was in a different place last year professionally and personally.
Okay.
This time around, she's obviously in a high-profile relationship. She's got all this media scrutiny around her. She's dealing with being, politically outspoken celebrity.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense that she would, take a step back.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like, we're watching her evolve in real time.
Right. And I think that is interesting because it does really speak to fame and, fandom and all the pressure that comes with being in the public eye, especially in this age of social media.
Okay. So now let's get into the relationship with Travis Kelce, because I don't think
go.
this is your typical, athlete dates model type of thing.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's really refreshing, actually, I think. It's captured the imagination of a lot of people.
I think so, too. From like the failed friendship bracelet attempt last season to, we see them at the AFC Championship game. It seems like it's been quite a whirlwind for these two.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think this type of pairing is going to become more common?
I mean, it's possible. We live in a world where it feels like these different spheres of celebrity are getting closer together. I mean, look at Travis Kelce. He's got a podcast with his brother. He hosted SNL.
Right.
So, he's building a brand outside of just football. And then on the other side, you have entertainers who are becoming way more present in the sports world.
Yeah.
Performing at games, owning teams, just using their platforms to engage with sports fans. So I think it's this reciprocal relationship that's happening, and it's creating these really interesting cultural moments.
Yeah. And this one is right at the center of it.
Absolutely. And I think because of that, there's so much scrutiny. I mean, every move they make is analyzed and dissected by everybody, but both fans and the media.
Yeah.
It's this lightning rod conversation about, fame and relationships and what fandom looks like in this digital age.
It makes you think about all that pressure that comes with fame.
Yeah.
Especially in the age of the social media, because it's just amplified.
Right. Social media has changed the game completely. It's a 247 news cycle where everything you do is documented and analyzed and debated by millions of people.
Right.
And for people like them, I think it creates this really unique challenge. How do you maintain your privacy? How do you be authentic when you're constantly being watched?
I wonder how they do it, to find those moments to just be normal.
Yeah, I think that's the million-dollar question. maybe it's just about creating boundaries, between your public life and your private life. And that's tough when everything you do is public.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And speaking of boundaries, it's so interesting how this relationship has kind of become this cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
Like, it's representative of this, collision between sports and entertainment.
For sure. It goes way beyond just two people falling in love. I mean, swells, as the internet calls them, is really about fandom and celebrity and how powerful those narratives can be.
So how does this fit into this blurring between entertainment and sports that we're talking about?
Well, I think, like I said, athletes are crossing over into the entertainment world.
Yeah.
And, entertainers are getting way more visible in the world of sports.
And this is kind of the perfect example of it, coming together.
Exactly. And then you have the intense scrutiny.
Right.
Every single thing they do.
Yeah.
Every date, every appearance, even just going to the Super Bowl becomes this big deal. It's got to be exhausting.
Yeah, I think it would be. I mean, it would make sense why they try to keep things more private.
Yeah, especially during a big event like that.
It really does make you think, about that whole pressure of fame in this digital age.
It's relentless.
It is.
It's like you can't escape it. Every little thing is under a microscope.
And then you've got social media, which just amplifies it all.
Oh, yeah. Social media it's a whole other beast. I mean, it's like a 24/7 news cycle where everything is documented and analyzed and millions of people are debating it.
Yeah, and for people like them, I mean, how do you stay authentic?
Right.
When you're being watched all the time?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's a really tough question,
Yeah.
Maybe it's about like setting boundaries, between your public life and your private life.
Right.
But that's got to be really hard when everything you do is so public.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of boundaries, it's interesting how their relationship has become this cultural phenomenon, almost like it's really symbolic of, this merging of sports and entertainment.
I think so. It goes way beyond just, two people falling in love. Like we said, Swells is really about fandom and celebrity and, how powerful these narratives can be.
So how does this all fit into this larger trend that we're seeing of this blurring between entertainment and sports?
Well, I think like we were saying, you see more and more athletes, kind of crossing over into the entertainment world. And then, on the flip side, you have entertainers who are way more visible in the world of sports.
Right.
They're performing at games. They're owning teams.
Right.
They're using their platforms to engage with sports fans. So it's like this reciprocal relationship that's happening, and it's creating these really interesting cultural moments.
And Swells is right at the center of it all.
Yeah, they really are, and because of that, there's so much scrutiny. I mean, every little thing they do is analyzed and dissected and debated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By fans, by the media,
Right.
It becomes this lightning rod conversation about fame and relationships and what fandom looks like in this digital age,
Yeah, it makes you think about all that pressure that comes with fame.
Yeah.
Especially in the age of social media, because it's just amplified.
Oh, social media has changed the game completely. It's a 247 news cycle.
Yeah.
Where everything you do is documented and analyzed and debated by millions of people,
Right. And for people like them, I mean, how do you stay authentic?
Right.
How do you maintain some sense of privacy when you're being watched all the time?
I think that's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
Maybe it's about creating boundaries between your public life and your private life.
Yeah. Right.
But that's got to be really hard when everything you do is so public.
Absolutely. And speaking of boundaries, it's interesting how their relationship has become this cultural phenomenon.
Almost like it's representative of,
Hey.
this collision between sports and entertainment.
It is. It goes way beyond just two people falling in love.
Yeah.
Like we said, Swells is really about fandom and celebrity and how powerful those narratives can be.
So how does this fit into this larger trend that we're seeing of this blurring between entertainment and sports?
Well, I think like we were saying, you see more and more athletes kind of crossing over into the entertainment world.
Right.
And then on the flip side, you have entertainers who are becoming way more visible in the sports world. They're performing at games, they're owning teams, they're using their platforms to engage with sports fans. So it's like this reciprocal relationship that's happening, and it's creating these really interesting cultural moments.
Yeah. Kenneth Wells is right at the center of it all.
Yeah, they really are. And because of that, I mean, there's so much scrutiny. Like every move they make is analyzed and dissected and debated by everybody, fans and the media.
Right. It's got to be exhausting.
Yeah, I think it would be. It would make sense why they'd want to keep things more private.
Especially during a big event like that.
Right.
But speaking of big events,
yeah.
I can't help but think about, those betting odds.
Oh, yeah.
On a potential Super Bowl proposal. I mean, the speculation was wild.
It was crazy.
It really was. Why do you think, fans and the media get so invested in the personal lives of these celebrities?
I think it's human nature, We're drawn to drama, to speculation, to the possibility of a happy ending.
Right. We love a good love story.
We do.
Especially when it feels like the stakes are so high.
Yeah.
And in a world that often feels so chaotic and unpredictable.
Right.
Celebrity love stories, they offer this sense of escapism,
They do. It's like a modern fairy tale.
Yeah.
And in this age of social media and the 24/7 news cycle, it's all just amplified, The stakes are higher.
Yeah.
The emotions are more intense.
It's like we're all living vicariously through them.
Exactly.
And with the added layers of, sports rivalries and political divides,
Right.
it really creates this incredibly complex and captivating narrative that's hard to ignore.
It's true. It's a reminder that, even the things that we think of as superficial, like pop culture, can reflect these deeper societal trends and tensions.
So where do we go from here? We've covered a lot of ground.
We have,
from friendship bracelets to beer chugging contests,
yeah,
from political endorsements to Super Bowl superstitions. I mean, it's amazing how all of these seemingly, disparate elements can weave together to create this really fascinating and multi-layered story.
I know. It's really cool to see how it all comes together.
It is.
And I think the key takeaway here is that we're really witnessing this blurring of the lines between entertainment and sports and even politics,
Right.
These worlds are colliding and converging in ways that we've never seen before.
And it's like celebrities like Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are figuring it out.
Yeah.
As they go,
In real time.
In real time, yeah. How to balance their personal lives with their public personas, how to use their platforms responsibly,
right?
How to stay true to themselves amidst all of this scrutiny and pressure.
It's a lot to juggle.
Yeah, it's like we're watching this real-time social experiment unfold right in front of us.
I know. And it's got all the ingredients. You got the love, the fame, the sports, the politics, and even a little bit of superstition thrown in there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of the superstition, did you notice how the Chiefs' performance seems to be, like, directly linked to Taylor Swift's presence?
Oh, yeah. It's hard to ignore those numbers. I mean,
Yeah.
19 wins, 3 losses overall.
And they've never lost a playoff game when she's there.
Makes you think there's something to this whole celebrity power thing,
Like, does her presence actually influence the outcome of these games, or is it just a fun coincidence? What do you think?
Well, I think it's probably a little bit of both. I mean, there's no scientific evidence to suggest that a celebrity's presence can, directly impact a sporting event. But on the other hand, sports are full of superstitions and rituals,
Right. The players have their pregame routines, fans wear their lucky jerseys, and teams have these weird traditions that they do. So maybe her presence just adds to that energy.
Yeah, maybe. If the players and the fans believe that her presence brings good luck, then it might just give them that little extra boost they need, that confidence or motivation, almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right. Like, if you believe it, then it will happen.
Yeah.
Which, is a fun thing to think about, even if we can't really explain it.
Yeah.
But, we started this deep dive with something a bit more serious.
Mm-hmm.
The booing that was directed at Taylor Swift. At the Super Bowl.
Right. Yeah, it's a good reminder that, the intersection of celebrity and politics, it's a complicated thing, and it's becoming more and more relevant. I mean, as more celebrities use their platforms to speak out on social issues, they're faced with this balancing act of trying to stay true to their values, but also, navigate these expectations from their fans and deal with potential backlash.
And as we saw with Swift, the backlash can be pretty swift and intense. Especially in today's, polarized climate. And it brings up these questions,
Yeah.
about the role of celebrities. What do you think? Do they have a responsibility to use their platform for political advocacy, or should they just stick to, you know, entertaining and stay out of it?
Yeah, it's a tough question. There's really no easy answer. You know, it's a personal decision for each celebrity to make, and it often comes with consequences.
It's like that damned if they do, damned if they don't.
Yes.
You know, if they speak out, they risk alienating some fans, but if they stay silent, then they're accused of not caring. I mean, tough spot to be in.
It is, and it's not a conversation that's going away anytime soon. I think as those lines between pop culture and sports and politics get,
Yeah.
blurrier and blurrier, we're going to see more and more celebrities having to figure this out.
Absolutely. Wow. This deep dive has been a whirlwind. We've gone from friendship bracelets to beer chugging contests, from political endorsements to Super Bowl superstitions. It's crazy how all of these things, can come together and create this really fascinating and multi-layered story.
It is. It's a good reminder that even, the stuff that we think of as just, superficial pop culture can offer these insights into these, bigger societal trends and tensions.
Right. And it's all about,
Yes.
understanding the context and the motivations and how these different forces kind of play off of each other to shape these cultural moments.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, as we wrap up this deep dive, I have one final question for our listeners to ponder. Do you think that celebrities should be more vocal about their political beliefs, or should they try to stay neutral? There's no right or wrong answer. It's something to, think about as we navigate this world of fame and fandom and cultural influence and all of that. So what do you think? Let us know, and we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody.